Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Pearson, your elementary ELL teacher. Today we're going to go over the informative oral retell for the biography Helen Keller. And for this lesson, we're going to turn and talk. So that means I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to think about your answer. Then you're going to pair up with a partner at home, or you can be my virtual partner. And then you're going to share out your answer in a complete sentence or sentences. So, Helen Keller is a biography. And what is a biography? Well, a biography is a text written to inform the reader about a real person. Biography also has the root bio, which means life, and graph means to write. So, biography is a written account of someone's life. So a biography shares facts in chronological order or in sequential order. It's narrated by an author who is not the person featured. It includes the author's opinion of the person. A biography talks about the childhood and when and where was the person born. A biography talks about the family and education. What kind of education did that person get? A biography also talks about traits, physical traits. What did the person look like? Character traits. How is the person on the inside? And how would you describe the person? A biography talks about challenges. What obstacles did the person overcome? And what events or people shaped the person's life? A biography also talks about legacy. What impact did the person have? And what is the person remembered or known for? So, Helen Keller is a biography. Let's go over the vocabulary for Helen Keller because when you answer the questions, you may use this vocabulary. And when you retell the biography and tell the important events, you may use these vocabulary words as well. Number one, knowledge. If a person has knowledge of something, he or she understands facts and information about it. Number two, curious. If you are curious, you are very interested in learning or finding out things. Number three, motion. A motion is an action or movement. Number four, silence. Silence is a lack of sound and quiet. Number five, illness. If you have an illness or sickness, you are not healthy. Number six, imitated. When you imitated something, you copied it. Number seven, darkness. Darkness means without light and in blackness. Number eight, behavior. Someone's behavior is his or her way of acting or manners. So you can have positive behavior or negative behavior. Let's go over our learning target. I can tell the main idea and supporting details of the biography Helen Keller using pictures, words, and sentences. Success criteria. That means how will you know you're successful at telling the main idea and supporting details of the biography Helen Keller? Well, here are our steps to success. I will, number one, answer the talk about it questions for each picture. Number two, I will say the author's purpose of the passage. Why did the author write the book? To either persuade, P, inform, I, or entertain, E. It's as easy as pie. Number four, I will say and match 1 to 2 detail sentences to each retelling picture. And five, I will say what the author wants us to learn. All right, let's go over our turn and talk rules. If you have a partner at home, you're eye to eye and knee to knee. You face the speaker. First, one person talks, the other person listens. Then the next person talks, the other person listens. Do not talk too long on your turn, or your partner will not have time to have a turn. You may agree with me, and you can say, I agree with you, Mrs. Pearson, because, and tell me why. Or I disagree. I disagree with you because, and tell me why. So here's our first major event in Helen Keller's life. So here's Helen Keller. What were some of Helen Keller's challenges as a young girl? What were some of Helen Keller's challenges as a young girl? So you could say one challenge Helen Keller faced was, another challenge was, so one challenge was, another challenge was, so a challenge is a difficulty or something that was hard. Well, if you can tell by the picture, one challenge Helen faced was the fact that she was blind. She couldn't see anything. Another challenge she faced was that she was also deaf. So she was blind and deaf. And to be deaf means you cannot hear. How did Helen Keller see the world? So if you can't see with your eyes, how did she know what was around her? So she saw the world by, well, she saw the world by her other senses, her sense of smell, her sense of taste, her sense of touch. So she felt things like she is feeling the cow, and she can tell that it's an animal, and feeling the fur. So she saw the world through touch mainly. Number two, you can reread about this major event in our Journeys textbook on pages 481 to pages 484. And the question is, who was Annie Sullivan? Who was Annie Sullivan? So you can answer it. Annie was, well, Annie was Helen's new teacher. She was nearly blind, and she came to live with the family and help Helen. What did Annie teach Helen? What did Annie teach Helen? So Annie taught Helen blank and blank. So tell me two things she taught Helen. Annie helped, or Annie taught Helen. Well, Annie taught Helen how to control her behavior and how to understand the world around her, because Helen didn't understand because she was blind and deaf. She got an illness when she was a baby, and she lost her sense of sight and her sense of hearing. So she did not understand the world around her. She knew she was different, but she did not understand. Here's a major event in the story. You can reread about it on page 485 in our Journeys textbook. What did Helen discover when she and Annie were at the well house? What did Helen discover when she and Annie were at the well house? So you can say, Helen discovered. Well, Helen discovered that everything had a name. When she put her hand underneath the running water, Annie spelled the word water in her hand. Finger spelled the word water. And suddenly, Helen understood. She discovered that everything had a name. It all clicked. So, how did Helen learn to talk? How did Helen learn to talk? She didn't actually use her voice. Helen learned to talk by, well, Helen learned to talk by finger spelling in Annie's hand. She learned how to talk with her hands and spell out words. Here's another major event. You can reread about it on pages 486 to 489 in our Journeys textbook. What did Helen learn to do besides spell words? What did Helen learn to do besides spell words? And how did this change her life? So Helen learned this changed her life because, Helen learned how to talk in sentences and not just spell words, and so she could have a conversation. Helen also learned how to read Braille and she learned how to write. So she learned how to talk in sentences using her fingers. She also learned how to read and she learned how to write. This changed her life because she learned so much about the world around her and she was able to understand the world around her. She also became famous because of her accomplishments, because she overcame so much challenges. What do you think people can learn from her or from Helen? People can learn, well, people can learn so much from Helen. They can learn that no matter how hard things might be, you can overcome your challenges and you can have a wonderful, rich life despite your challenges and struggles. If Helen can overcome being blind and deaf and learn how to have a wonderful life, you can learn to overcome your challenges in life and you can do anything you set your mind to. All right. Why did the author write the text Helen Keller? It's as easy as pie. The author wrote the text to either persuade, so P stands for persuade, and persuade means to convince the reader of a certain point of view, or the author wrote the text to inform, I stands for inform, to teach or give information to the reader, or the author wrote the text to entertain. E stands for entertain, to hold the attention of the reader through enjoyment. So, why do you think the author wrote Helen Keller? To persuade, inform, or entertain? Well, Retell of Helen Keller, the author wrote the text to either persuade the reader that Helen Keller is the most interesting person in the world, or the author wrote the text to inform the reader, to give information about Helen Keller and how she's inspirational and to give facts about her life, or the author wrote the text to entertain the reader about a funny story about Helen Keller. So, why did the author write the text? Persuade, inform, or entertain? The author wrote the text to inform the reader because the biography or text is about the life of what is the story or book about? The biography is about the life of Helen Keller. So let's put those pictures in the correct chronological order or sequence. First, second, third, fourth. So first, what did we learn about Helen? First, Helen was, what was her challenges? First, Helen was, well, first, Helen could not hear or see because of an illness. This meant she was in total silence and darkness. She learned through touch. So Helen was born, and when she was a baby, she had an illness. And she could not hear or see because of that illness. And this meant she was in total silence and darkness. She was blind and deaf. So she learned through touch. So second, Annie Sullivan was, so second, Annie Sullivan was, well, second, Annie Sullivan was Helen's teacher. She worked hard to help Helen control her angry behavior and understand the world. So second, Annie Sullivan was Helen's teacher. She worked hard to help Helen control her angry behavior and understand the world. Third, what did Helen discover? What was the turning point? What did Helen discover? Third, Helen discovered, well, third, Helen discovered that everything had a name. That was the turning point. She learned to talk with her hands and imitated letters to fingerspell words. So that was a very important event. Helen discovered that everything had a name. She learned to talk with her hands and imitated letters to fingerspell words. Fourth, what did Helen eventually learn? Fourth, Helen learned, well, fourth, Annie taught her or Helen how to talk in full sentences using her hands. Helen was curious and gained knowledge by reading Braille. In conclusion, the author wants us to learn about, what does the author want us to learn about? In conclusion, the author wants us to learn about Helen Keller's life because it's a biography. Bio means life, and graph means to write. So the writing down of the life of Helen Keller, biography. All right, now that we've answered all our questions and retold the biography with the sentence stems, let's reflect on our learning target. I can tell the main topic and key details of the biography Helen Keller using pictures and words. How do you think you did? Would you say, I could teach this lesson? I easily answered the questions and retold the main idea and four important details about the text, including what the author wants us to learn? Or would you give yourself a three? I was able to answer most of the questions and retold the main idea and three details of the text out loud. Or number two, I was able to answer some of the questions and retold the main idea and two details out loud. Or one, I was not able to answer the questions and did not retell the main idea or details out loud. How do you think you did? Four, three, two, or one? Well, boys and girls, thank you for reviewing the biography of Helen Keller with me and talking about it, the story. Have a great day.